How do my wife and I work together as a team to make retirement decisions? Great discussion with the guy last week about this. I think this is very common. What I typically find with the over 200 families that I've talked to, vast majority of them, I'd say 99%, I talk to one person, not most of the time that's the man, but sometimes it's the female in the relationship. But most of the time it is the man. That's just a fact. I'm not trying to state anything by that other than the fact. But how do you work with your spouse? How do you make sure that you're making decisions together? How do you handle this as a team? What was my experience? Okay, so I'm going to walk through my experience. So first, some background. Both my wife and I were from middle class America, okay? And I would say my wife was really towards the bottom end of that middle class. Her parents were immigrants after World War II from Poland. They were refugees and they came over with absolutely nothing and made a great life over here in the Midwest. And, I was middle class, lived in a subdivision. My mom and dad live in a 800 square foot house with a basement, still live there today. So I was middle, okay? Didn't worry about where my next meal was coming from, but didn't have a swimming pool in the back at home. So that's kind of our background. We are both value buyers, frugal, we don't waste money. So that's our team, and we're together on that. We really don't have to get in any debates about spending money to any serious degree. So specific questions that came up last week was, did my wife work? How are you making decisions together? And how involved is your wife in the budget and investments? So I'll handle these one at a time. First of all, my wife went to college to be a school teacher. She worked a couple years and then raised 4 children. So she effectively did not work, outside bringing in money to the family. She managed the home front. We did a zone. I brought in the money. She managed the home life and did extremely well. Got 4 great kids with great values and great lives. So couldn't be happier with that decision that we made together. We made that one together as well. But when it came time to retire, I managed the investments. My wife wants no part of managing the investments, the high finance stuff, how much we were saving for retirement in the 401k, moving money to an IRA, what it's invested in, creating buckets. All that is my work with my retirement team and with input from others and just research. But my wife just really, she just wanted to know, hey, what kind of lifestyle can we live if you choose to retire early? And I said, hey, basically the same as we are now. I'll manage that, but we can't go out and just spend $30,000 and replace all the cabinets in the kitchen, which that wouldn't have been too difficult while I was working and had excess money coming in, and we're building the pile of investments for retirement. You got to kind of watch the market a little bit. So we do make decisions together, but it's actually very few we need to make together strategically. With our money set up in buckets, it's like 1 or 2 discussions a day about, a year, sorry, 1 or 2 discussions a year about where our money's at, where it's located. In 2022, that probably went to 4 discussions like, hey, Lisa, we're down a lot of money, right? The stock market's down. Now's not the time to, we were talking about replacing some windows in the house. And I said, now's not the time to do some of the discretionary things. Let's just ride this out, see how this goes. You didn't know where COVID was taking things and how far was the market going down. So it's kind of my guardrails, my mental guardrails. Hey, when the stock market's down 35%, don't go out and just spend extra money. So I just, needed to remind her where things were. Not really remind, it's inform. My wife doesn't really, if the stock market was down 30%, I'd have to tell her. Now, see that, but what I'm trying to help you understand was my zone. The zone I was working in is the strategic decisions for our long-term money. My wife manages the home front. Okay, that is the checkbook, the money that we got in our savings account, and how much we're spending each month, and the Discover and MasterCard bills that come in. She's managing that and managing to our budget number. So tactically, she makes it happen every month and every quarter. Where my vision is, I'm looking out 1 to 30 years. So I'm managing 1 to 30 years, and she's managing really today and the next 90 days. That's her zone where she's the expert. Okay, so that's kind of how we make decisions. We play a zone. Okay, investment decisions. I will, work with my retirement group. I will do a lot of research, and I'll make the decision, and then I'll just tell my wife what I did. Hey, I decided to pull some out of bucket 2 and put it into bucket 1 because I was able to get a CD at 5.1%, for example. Or I took some money out of savings and bought I bonds with it. She is, she is 100% okay and delegated to me the decisions to manage that money. Now, what we do is once a year, at a minimum, once a year, we sit down together and I go through all of our assets, why I'm doing things, what the logic behind it, where all our assets are, and I have a document that reflects all that. I also have a financial advisor kind of on standby, okay, non-paid financial advisor that knows if something happens to me, my wife is going to contact this individual and she'll go assets under management most likely, because she doesn't want to manage the details of our strategic plan. So, and that's fine. That's a good decision for people if you don't want to do that work. I tell people that if you want to do it yourself, investing of your retirement, it's a part-time job. It takes some hours to do that. It's not a lot. I enjoy doing it. And I think it's a little bit of a paycheck I get because I'm not going assets under management. But that's not a decision for everybody. It won't be the decision for my wife. I'm confident. So every year we review the plan. It's documented, and I do have that financial advisor on standby. But the shorter answer to the question is we play a zone. My wife and I play a zone. She's the authority person really on 0 to 90 days. I'm the person that makes the decisions really 90 days plus on where our money is at, where it's located. Do we have enough to fill up that bucket 1 money that we need more urgently? And are we getting the returns? I manage that. And both of us seem real happy with that. This is a discussion that every married couple needs to make. How are you going to not argue about finances? I would say we rarely have an argument about finances. The most emotional, and it wasn't emotional, but the most lively, I'll say, conversation was in 2022. When we were looking at, 1, my daughter got married, 2, we bought a car, and 3, she was looking at some remodeling. And I just said, hey, wait a second. the wedding and the car, I had budgeted. The remodeling, let's put that off. And that's something we're looking at today with the stock market recovering and doing pretty well. So that may be... that's just kind of a guardrail, and that's my job of looking at the strategic goals of our investments. Is that, hey, we're leaning up against one of the guardrails, and I said, hey, let's. My recommendation is we can't do that right now, and she manages the guardrails in the short term. If an expense comes up within 0 to 90 days, is really her domain that she manages and does extremely well. Well, anyway, if you do something different, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I know this is a hot topic for people that, it's really not, people don't want to talk about how their relationship is with their spouse. very openly. So let's have a little discussion in the comments around how you manage your finances. Is it different? What do you think of what I'm doing? Are you doing something similar or totally different? It's Joe out.